The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Shaylin Herrick from SOS Online Backup. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes and wait for a few more people to join. And please feel free to queue up some questions if you would like to do so, and questions are always welcome throughout the webinar. Good morning again, everyone. Again, this is Shaylin Herrick, the Director of Marketing for Business Products from SOS Online Backup. And we also have Derek Wood, who is our Partner Product Manager, who when you sign up to work with us, you'll be working often with Derek. And first, we are going to start out with a brief industry overview and an overview of what our products offer. And then Derek will take you through the technical aspects of our partner program as well as the SOS Server Save product. And I see that William has already asked a question. Let me get through the first couple of slides, and then I will answer that question for you, William. So first of all, what's new for SOS? Back in November, we launched SOS Server Save, which is a full server backup program. It's really a complete cloud backup solution for SMBs and enterprises. It does cloud backup for Exchange servers, SQL servers, SharePoint databases, and it is, of course, available to managed service providers through our partner program. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So what's the industry overview and opportunity? What's the opportunity for you guys? What's the opportunity for the industry in general? Of course, you're part of the industry. And there's a lot of it, and that's pretty exciting. And then how is SOS Server Save changing the competitive landscape? So by partnering with us, what do you guys potentially gain? So SOS Online Backup has been a technology leader in online backup since really 2001. We were started in Australia in 2001 and moved to the United States in 2006. We have over 500,000 active customers and over 500 value-added reseller partners. We have an exclusive engineering team. We have a robust and intelligent sales team here in the Los Angeles office. And we are constantly monitoring trends in the industry to make sure that both you guys can capitalize on them and stay ahead of the curve. So based on the chart that's on the right-hand side of the screen, this is used to illustrate where we are in the industry, in the potential for market share of online backup and what we can grow to be. Right now we're in the early adopter phase. So as you guys probably know, not everyone that you talk to on the street knows what online backup or cloud backup is, and you probably have to explain it to them. That's because we're in this phase. It will eventually become more commonplace. Everybody will know what it is. Like today, everyone knows what an iPhone is. 6 years ago, maybe that's a bad number. 6 years ago, hardly anybody knew what it was. So we're looking for this to grow, and of course, as more people know what it is, the opportunities for you guys grow. So what is driving online backup adoption? One thing is expansion of internet bandwidth. More people have access to fast internet. That means more people are going to use it. More people are going to use it for uploads. More people are going to be creating high-value digital data. We are also decreasing hosted storage costs. This is simply across the world. You can store data almost anywhere. The methods of storing data are becoming cheaper and cheaper, and that drives down cost of online backup and, of course, then increases adoption. And also the technical sophistication of the population. So I alluded to that a few seconds ago when I was talking about the graph on the right. We will move to the right where eventually those laggards over on the far right adopt online backup and understand what it is. It will soon be something that everyone knows what it is, from residential users to SMBs and enterprises. But SMBs and enterprises are what we're going to focus on today.
Really, as we go through why the SMB market is expanding so greatly today, it's because the early adopter profile is someone who has a low cost of migrating to a new service. Maybe they have a low cost to implement a new service. They don't have anything that they're comfortable with currently, whereas your SMB is going to be a little more conservative. It costs a lot of money to evaluate and put in large hardware-based systems. Once you get into a rhythm and you have an operational flow, those of you who manage operations know that anytime you have to modify or change your operation, it is a rather expensive endeavor. So you try to avoid this, and you don't want to be the first one in the door. You want to let those micro businesses, the individual users, really get into play with a new service to prove out that the security is what you need, which is one of the questions from Will Taylor had, and that the speed and affordability is going to really meet your needs. So what we've seen in the SMB market today is that there is about 16% of the market who has a limited scope or limited implementation of online backup service. Maybe they're trying it out on one specific user, on one specific machine, maybe on a group of users, but they haven't yet bought into the idea that this is something that we're going to do across the board. We're now reaching that point where the functionality and the comfortability behind cloud backup, both in just familiarity with the idea of it and the security, the speed, location, which is another question that we have from Dimitri. It's all coming together at this price functionality inflection point that's really driving a huge growth in adoption. So not only are we going to see an increased adoption of online backup across the SMB market in the next couple of years, but an increased scope of adoption. So rather than maybe, let's just call a number 10, instead of a 10-point introduction of online backup into an SMB, 10 out of 100, maybe we see a 75-point implementation of online backup. So we're expanding not only those people who already have some sort of online backup in place, but the ones who don't yet have it. And it's really a tremendous growth that we see. And there's some charts here from the IDC that show that the data speaks not only to a growth in the hard cost of the service and the adoption of the service, but in a even larger growing service that many of you are entering. Most of our partners are newly entering or in the middle of entering the managed service market, meaning you have identified services on a regular basis. For the first time in IT services, we can no longer consider ourselves to be strictly risk managers. Now we can be productive assets to each business. As that market expands rapidly, online backup is quickly becoming, from a 1% expenditure of IT services 1-2 years ago to now being nearly a 10% or nearly 3%. So we're really seeing a dramatic growth in this because of the increased security, speed, and affordability, and general comfortability or technical savvy that Shaylin pointed out of the market that we're looking at.
So to quantify that a little bit further, IDC is estimating that cloud services will be a $22 billion industry by 2015. And the last estimate they gave was for 2010, and it was a $10 billion industry at that point. So there's a huge opportunity for growth, and a lot of it is because of all the macroeconomic factors, value of data, decreasing cost of data, decreasing cost of storage. All those things are pushing us towards the cloud. So here's another chart that was put together with some IDC data as well as our own information on home consumer versus small business adoption curves of online backup. The green section on the chart is small business, and the bluish teal section is consumer and small office, home office. So you can see around 2012, there is a huge spike in the adoption of cloud services by small business. So what do they need? What do they need, and can you give it to them? Over on the left, we've identified what some of these things are. Total business protection. So this means protection for workstations, servers, laptops, and mobile devices. I want to point out laptops and mobile devices specifically because, as you guys know, they're mobile, therefore making them more vulnerable to theft, vulnerable to disaster, vulnerable to some kind of damage. So their data is best off hanging out in the cloud. These businesses also need business continuity and disaster recovery, which of course you can get with cloud backup. They need server application backup and recovery. So they need backup for Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, file servers, Windows servers, all of the above. They need centralized deployment reporting and remote management systems, and they need them to be cost effective. They need security. They need to know that their data is located in places that are safe. They need to know that the data centers are protected. They need to know that their data is geographically redundant. So this is a good time to answer Will and Dimitri's questions about where our data is maintained and where our cloud is located. We have 11 worldwide data centers, and yes, there are some in Canada and in the United States. We also have some in the UK, Australia, India, and Ukraine. So whatever your redundancy needs are, we can absolutely customize your and your client's programs to fit that.
There were, on the same note, and we're talking about the wave of online backup adoption. To pose a question, how many of you out there currently have defined managed backup service packages where you can define what you're going to do to manage and monitor their backups on a monthly basis for a flat fee per month? And on that, there's been very interesting studies that have come out about managed backup solutions and their benefit from, or in the market where it's a little more volatile, where there's less flexibility to react to these disasters or instances of data loss. And it was covered by TechCrunch, the Wall Street Journal, MSP Alliance actually does webinars on this exact idea that the next wave of online backup adoption, or at least cloud adoption, is really based on security. We've seen all these services come out recently with no real security discussion, except for, of course, the recent Dropbox debacle with things they claimed that turned out not to be true. But what is secure and what is not secure? The problem of the stealth cloud. So when you look at SOS Online Backup, and what we've offered from the beginning was a